I've been using the Atoma 600 grit diamond stone for about 2 months now, so here's a quick review to show you what this stone is and if it's a good value. Make sure you check the chapters below because they will take you exactly where you want to go. First off, the construction. This stone is constructed slightly different than other plated diamond stones. First, this stone has an aluminum base and it has a replaceable plated diamond surface. Now the idea here is once you wear out the plated diamond surface, you can then pop this off and replace it with a new one at a cheaper cost than buying a whole new sharpening stone. More on this in a second. Now another different thing that you may notice with this stone is sort of the reverse waffle pattern of the stone itself. Now what I have found is that this seems to do a couple of things. It seems to make the 600 grit ever so slightly more aggressive than traditionally plated flat surface stones. This reverse waffle pattern also seems to allow a space for the removed material to go. So the stone requires less cleaning than traditionally plated flat stones. Now another thing that I think that this will do is since we have a thicker coat of diamonds for each one of these little reverse waffle patterns, we have a little bit more diamond thickness on the surface of the stone. And I also think that this will help the stone last slightly longer than other stones that have a smaller, thinner coating of diamond right on the surface. Now, whether this theory remains to be true, I have yet to find out, since I've only had this stone for 2 months now. And to be quite honest, I haven't actually worn out any other diamond stones, even with all of the sharpening that I've done. So take that for what it's worth. Now first off, right out of the package, I took pictures of this under the microscope, and the grit quality was absolutely perfect. It was accurately rated, and there was 0 grit contamination. Now grit contamination is when larger grit particles contaminate the surface of a smaller particle rated stone. Here's an example with this super cheap diamond stone. You can see we have all different size particles embedded into the surface of this stone. This is not a good stone. In contrast, you can see we have a nice even grit size on the Atoma, and the diamond is nicely embedded into the plating. Now, this sharpening stone has a slightly different feel than other diamond plated stones. In my opinion, it has a little bit more feedback than regular diamond plated stones, like this one that do not have the waffle pattern. I don't know why, but for some reason this waffle pattern makes this, it gives the stone a little bit more feedback than an otherwise completely flat surface would. Don't ask me why. And I sharpened everything from $1 cheap dollar store kitchen knives all the way up to custom heat-treated CPM M4 at 66 to 67 HRC. This thing has absolutely no problems blazing through any steel. And here's what the stone looks like after a ton of use. There's definitely some wear, but plenty of life left. And I'll tell you, this stone has been worked very hard. Now let's talk about value and pricing here real quick. Now first off, I bought this stone for $55 on Amazon, which for this stone is a fantastic price. I'll leave a link to exactly where I bought this stone in the description down below. I've also seen this stone sold elsewhere on the internet for up to $90 per stone. Now the idea here, and what we talked about earlier with these replacement grit plates that come off and can be replaced, is that you can buy these for a cheaper price than a whole new stone. Now, on Amazon, you can pick up these grit replacement plates for, I think it was around $45, if I'm not mistaken. And if you're looking at the difference between $45 and $55, I think I'd just go ahead and purchase a whole brand new stone. I'm not really sure where saving $10 is that important, considering the fact that when you get the replacement plate, you have to then remove this one and then apply that one. So there's work involved. What's your time worth? Is it worth the time dedicated to making that replacement? I don't know. That's sort of up to you. Me personally, I'm just going to buy a whole new stone and not mess around with the replacement plates. Now, elsewhere, like I said earlier, on the internet, these replacement plates can cost up to $74, $75. Now, if you're saving maybe $25 or $30 over buying a whole new stone, yeah, it might be worth it. But for $10, the stuff that you can find on Amazon is just so much cheaper than the other places. I'm not sure that this whole concept right here is really worth it. So it's kind of a wash, in my opinion, that these plates are replaceable. And like I said earlier, I've never worn out a diamond plated stone before. With all of the sharpening that I've done, I've never completely worn one out to where it was completely ineffective. So if you do buy another one, that one's going to be slightly more aggressive. It's going to be a lot more aggressive when it's new than when it has been used for quite a while. So now you have 2 stones for $10 more than a single stone. That's just my take on the whole thing. I think it's a little gimmicky, and I probably wouldn't mess around with that aspect of this.
Okay, so that last statement wasn't totally true. This picture right here is from a diamond stone that I was developing, and this was one of the prototypes that I was working on. And you can see there's 0 diamond in the picture. That's because it all wore off after a handful of sharpenings. It's very important to get the plating thickness correct so that it encapsulates all those diamonds and holds them in place. But here's an example of what that looks like when all the diamonds are wore off the stone. But going back, I've never had a commercially bought diamond stone that I've bought recently within the past 5 years that has had this happened.
Anyway, I think that this stone is for someone who does not want to spend their money on a Chinese-made product. I don't have any problems with that, but I know some of you do. This stone is made in Japan, and Japan is not China. So a very high-quality stone that's not made in China for a pretty good price on Amazon. Do not spend $90 on the stone. I think it's a ripoff. If, however, you don't care where the stone is made, I think you have a much better value in a stone like the Sharpall right here, because for around 70 bucks you get 2 stones rather than 1 for 55. That makes the stone a much better value. Now, is there a difference in how these, even though this one I think has a little bit better build quality, is there a difference on how sharp these are going to make your knives? And the answer is no. Both of these will make your knives identically sharp. Even if you were to buy 2 of these for $110, to tell you the honest truth, it's really up to if you care about where the stone is made. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever on how sharp you're going to be able to get your knives. So that's just my take on the whole thing. That makes the Sharpall a better value stone, but maybe not necessarily a better quality stone. I like the aluminum base on this. It's not going to rust over time. This stone is perfectly flat right out of the package. In my opinion, I like the waffle pattern better than just a flat plated stone. It just does it has a much nicer feel, and I just like to sharpen on it a little bit better. But is it worth the extra money? That's up to you.